Subhah, thanks for doing It's Show Business. We're just jumping right in.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
We've kind of met each other around the scene just like in comedy.
Yes.
And now I feel like I know your podcast intimately because I've been doing some audio. Let's call it audio help.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And it's brought me back to my old days of being a sound engineer, which I've been enjoying. And then now I have 3 pods I do this for. So maybe it's a thing.
That's impressive. Maybe this is another part of your show business, right?
Yeah,
right?
it's like another peg of my side hustle. But I used to like do it for music, which is so intense. Like it takes the whole day. And this is nice. Just the vocals. You just make it sound crisp and hot and pop. Yeah.
What we do is way less complicated and way less impressive, just...
No, it's more impressive and less complicated. So that's how it works. Yeah. What is your podcast about for those who don't know?
Yeah, it's called Family Gems. So it's just like fun family stories. It's so funny because like we said, like I'll tell people what the podcast is before I book them. And like when they come on the podcast, I'm like, all right, so what's like a fun family story you want to share? They're like, you want me to shit on my family? And I'm like, no.
Okay.
Everyone's like, you want me to go through everything I've been talking about in therapy? I was like, no, just a fun story. It's just like this weird...
That's what I thought too, because I was okay, because you asked me to be on. I was like, all right, let me get my family story, my bad stories.
Let me open up my journal. No, it's just like fun stories,
Okay, I think fun stories would work better anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then it's like, if you're, a lot of parents listen.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be like...
Yeah.
You don't want to be dishing the dirt. Unless that's your vibe. Some people, that's their vibe,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like if people want to do that...
I've heard the other apps.
Go ahead. It's like, for sure, if you want to like say some shit, say some shit. But I'm like, we're not asking you to like make your Thanksgiving the worst thing possible. We're not asking for that.
No, because it's a whole year of hearing about it. And it's like, for us, it's just a podcast and it goes away. But for other people, it could be just viewed as like...
I know.
A whole episode about them.
I like riffed something about my mom and like this comedy club posted the footage of it and didn't like without telling me. And I was just like, oh my God. Like I just knew I didn't repost it. I was like, it's fine. But I was like, it gave me a heart attack because I even forgot like I had said that about my mom into my microphone. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I feel like the podcast is such a dangerous format because it lives forever in this world and it can be taken out of context so easily.
It's a problem.
Yeah, but then you just keep creating more and more and more, and then it kind of goes away unless you've really gone off the deep end.
Something wild, yeah.
Yeah, it's not good if you... I think it seems to be pretty clear what the boundaries are. It's just like your intent, and also just don't... Just adapt.
Don't suck.
Don't suck and adapt to what's the current, framework. You can't... No matter how much you want, you can't party like it's 1990. You just can't. Like... I was in high school in the 90s. I saw what everyone called each other and did, and every single person, would be canceled today.
Yeah, for sure.
And now it's just a different thing, and that's okay.
I was listening to some like J-Lo song, and she sang the N-word, and I was like, "Wait, can you rewind that?" And it was just like, and it was like one of her hit songs, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like I didn't even realize she had done that.
Oh wow!
And like an old 2000 song or some shit, and I was like, "Oh, she definitely." And I'm like, wow. And then it has not come back to bite her in the ass. Like nothing. It's just wild.
It's funny that's the metaphor you chose with J-Lo. But
a lot of ass to bite.
A lot of ass to bite. But also, is it like, think about, I don't know how much of a hip hop you're into that, but like they used to create like battle records. Like they would go in the studio, make a whole record dissing this person, and then be like, all right, this is it. And then like 4 months later, because we had to press the CD and like put it in the store, and like you could feel differently like 4 months later. Oh man, I really shouldn't have said those things about that person.
That's funny. Tupac came in hot on his diss track. That's why I fucked your mom. What was it? That's why I fucked your bitch, you stupid motherfucker. Wasn't that like the first line?
Right. And so it's like
that shit was hilarious. Where it's like you turn it, you're like, Jesus Christ.
It's because they couldn't tweet. Like,
I know, right?
They would be tweeting all day.
You had to get it out somewhere.
Like we're doing it on a record, like $2 million to like make a tweet.
Oh man, imagine if you could get $2 million for just like complaining at somebody on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, what's his name? The Twitter founder. He sold his first tweet for $2 million.
Oh yeah. Jack Dorsey, yeah.
Jack Dorsey, and then now someone tried to resell it, and they're like, "We'll give you $500."
That's so stupid.
It's so sad. God. It's NFTs. Comedy is actually the one place where NFTs haven't really caught on yet.
So I see some comedians trying to make it a thing. I think Eric Andre has one. Like, I don't understand exactly what it is, and I think it's a scam. So I'm like, no thanks. I'm just gonna stay away from this.
Some comedians have made it part of their brand. Like, I'm an NFT person, but like, I haven't really seen like product that much. That's cool that Eric Andre did something. I'll check it out. I don't think I'd ever buy one. I just don't understand.
Me either.
It's like you're buying.
I mean, I don't understand the regular stocks either, but I'm like, those have been around forever. To me, it's like financial products are like plastic surgery to me. I'm like, I'm going to wait 20 to 30 years before I try it. Like, you never want to do the
does permanent
new,
damage.
Yeah, you never want to do the new thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Like all that stuff, like crypto feels a little just. I remember my barber. He's like, "Hey, can you pay me in Bitcoin?" I was like, "Okay," and then I signed up for the account, and then we couldn't figure out how to do it, and then it just sat there. But for him, he had been doing that for 10 years.
Bitcoin.
Like people have been paying him for the last 10 years. So like,
why?
I don't know. I think he had one hair person client that he cut, and he was like kept wanting to pay him in Bitcoin. And then he amassed all this Bitcoin for the last 10 years now he's like a millionaire.
Oh, wow. Okay. So he got in early and.
Yeah. It's like an accidental millionaire.
That's hilarious.
That's pretty cute.
Cute.
Like he's just trying to cut hair.
Oh my
and then all of a
God.
sudden he has this pile of money.
Capitalism is such bullshit. It's like, what the fuck even is this? It's nuts.
What if like all the last 10 years, all your spot pay, $20 at a time was in Bitcoin?
That would have been amazing. I mean, now crypto crashed, but like 2 months ago, I would have been loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope he fucking unloaded that shit because crypto crashed hard.
Yeah. I think it's still way up. Like I remember looking at it when it was like, or hearing about it when it was like $100 a coin. And so that's when he was doing it. So even with the crash, he's up, but it's not really a pod about him. But that is interesting about our biz is that like, and the music seems to be doing NFTs the best because they're like, we can finance artists' projects through this art. So artist makes art and then they raise money and they don't have to sign a deal or GoFundMe. They can just use that money as their own GoFundMe.
Smart.
But comedians, what do we have to spend money on?
Ear mattresses?
An album? We could do it. I think someone's going to do it for a special. Someone will.
An NFT?
They'll create an NFT to finance their special. I think that'll happen. If it hasn't already, I don't know.
I feel like Ted Alexander at one point had an NFT. Non-fungible token.
Token life.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. And you're a writer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've written for a bunch of shows.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's good. It's interesting. Yeah, it's weird. Didn't know that's what I was going to end up doing when I started comedy, but it's fun.
Oh, it was like comedy then writing? Mm-hmm. That's a good slash to have because it's so close to comedy.
Yeah. As a comedian and like a joke writer, you kind of like get pulled in. Like they try to make you act, they try to make you write. Like it's like the old Mitch Hedberg joke where it's like nobody goes up to a chef and is like, "Can you farm?" Like right. But they make you do everything. So.
Yeah, they send you back up the food chain and they're like, "Hey, what about that thing over there?"
Exactly. It's wild. I like it though. It's been fun. I mean, when I was in the guild, I really liked that insurance. That was nice.
Yeah, they have the best insurance, right?
They have the best insurance. Now I'm like paying for my own insurance and it's so fucking expensive. Like,
oh yeah,
it's nuts. I literally avoid the doctor because my insurance is so. I like don't want another bill, even though I'm paying for the ability to go. It's wild.
Yeah, it's the whole. I'm in Canadian, so like when I got here, I'm like I just don't understand what's happening. But it seems to work. I guess.
No,
I don't know.
It's the worst. It works if you're wealthy, and then if you're broke, you're just stuck complaining on Twitter.
I guess no. It seems to work when you have insurance, but if you don't have insurance, it's a mess.
Even with insurance, it can be a mess because like insurance won't cover certain things or
yeah.
It's so annoying.
It sucks to merge the financial conversation with I'm sick.
I know, and then like when you're signing up for it, you're sitting there going like, do I need debt? Like I think several comics have jokes about how fucking insane it is that dental isn't just part of your health insurance.
Right.
And eyesight. They're like, oh no, why is that a separate thing? That's so nuts.
But even in Canada, that was a separate thing.
Really?
So you got healthcare, but you did not get dental.
Why?
I don't know. I think maybe it's like a cabal of the dentists or like...
wow, med school students are just so snobby that they're like, no, you're not a real doctor.
Right.
This isn't covered by
We're
medical
taking out the
insurance.
teeth and the feet. You guys are on your own. There's no insurance for you.
Like a foot doctor, I mean, I guess that's like super specialized, but it's like, you can't ignore it if you have a tooth problem. You know what I
No.
mean? So it literally 0 sense.
I had a root canal, and when you need it, you're like,
yeah.
oh my God, something's wrong. I had Invisalign done, which
nice.
was interesting. I had braces as a kid, and they just moved.
Yeah, same.
And it was fun to go to like the dentist with my daughter. We have matching retainer cases.
Aw.
Yeah.
How is Invisalign?
I have mixed feelings about it.
I kind of wanted to do it because my teeth also.
Let's see.
See at the bottom? They overlapped. The same.
Yeah, I don't know.
They
Your
got
teeth look
pushed.
great. First when you came in, I was like, oh, she's got great teeth. Because
So do you.
once you get Invisalign, all you do is look at people's teeth.
That's so funny.
It's just that's the only thing.
Because I had my teeth straightened, but then my wisdom teeth came in and they pushed my teeth.
That's exactly what
forward.
happened to me. And then the bottom kind of crowded, and then they kind of moved. Anyway, I guess I'm glad I did it after
Good.
all. But
Yeah.
your teeth look great. I would not do it.
Yeah, I heard it's super painful.
It's not super painful. It's just annoying. You're wearing this thing, and it gets in the way, and there's side effects, and yeah. So now we've covered writing, Invisalign, basically all the parts of being a comedian. They should hand you a checklist when you get off the Greyhound. You're like, do you want to fix your teeth? Do you want to start writing for a show? Like,
It's
what are
funny
we
how
doing?
many comics and like rappers too do that. As soon as they get money, just immediately get new teeth. Like those
Yeah.
Hollywood teeth, you know what I mean? Where they look a little bit like a white picket fence that you just put in your mouth. It's
Yeah, it
like-
looks like
that's how rich they are. They've got a white picket fence in their mouth.
well, they redo all their teeth.
Yeah, they get them all just.
That's too much. It looks unnatural.
I mean, it can look good. I mean, and some people have like fucked up teeth, especially if like you didn't have money growing up.
Yeah.
Like, because my parents could afford bracelets, so that's like a privilege. But you know, if you didn't have that, you didn't care for your teeth, and you were just like a raging alcoholic for like 30, like your shit can be fucked up. And at that point, it's like, yeah, sand it into little points, and put these weird poster
Caps
board
on.
into my face. So
Even if I went back and rewatched all of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and between season 1 and season 2, they're like, oh, Larry got his teeth fixed.
that's amazing. It's funny, like people really change from the first season of like when they get on TV to the second season, because you have to like look at yourself.
Yeah.
For like, but that's also like, there's been an uptick in plastic surgery because everybody's been on Zoom. So,
totally. It's a Zoom
yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's happening to normal people. Like it used to be just celebrities where you'd watch yourself on camera and be like, Jesus Christ, is that what people see? And then you
Yeah.
like go get shit that didn't need to be fixed. And then now regular people just going out.
Because we're all on camera.
Yeah.
All of us are camera face. Like we're all newscasters.
It's
like
terrible.
It's like no one signed up. The entire
This is
planet.
terrible.
The entire planet has a camera in their pocket and is filming themselves. This is not good.
No, it's not good. Society is collapsing.
It is collapsing. It's kind of sad. This will be like the last year, maybe.
I hope so. Oh God, let it end.
Just be done. And so what show did you just finish on Netflix?
I was writing for the Arsenio Hall show.
Hey.
They brought him back for 4 episodes. The
That's pretty
Legend.
cool.
Yeah. It was awesome. Arsenio was like a treat to work with. Holy
He's
shit.
a G. I did a show with him
Yeah.
at Ice House.
Oh, yeah?
And he dropped in and he was just amazing.
Yeah,
so
he's so fun. Yeah.
charismatic and
Yes.
so like nice. And you're like, and such star power. You're like, oh, I get it. Yeah.
Because you never know what it's like when you're going to meet, like, never meet your heroes. Like, you never know what it's like when you're going to meet, like, a literal living legend. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, God, please don't fucking suck. And he was like, amazing. Just, like, the nicest, so humble of all things, considering everything he's done. Like, it was just wild. Because, when some people hit that level, they just go off the fucking deep end.
They do. I usually found like the biggest celebrities that I worked with in music, the nicer they are. Like,
Oh, yeah?
And then it was always the people who they were cusping or hadn't quite made it that were like divaing out. But the people who really made it had this security and just wanted to be pleasant for the most part.
That's funny.
And I think that's with like most comedians who are very famous are pretty nice. That at least with me, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard some horror stories. Plus, Ellen was like a raging asshole, right? Wasn't that like her whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's. Do you think? I doubt that she was mean to, like, if you met Ellen, you would be like, oh my God, she was mean. It's, I think, you know, you're running this big operation, and maybe as a boss, she had some work to do. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know the details on her. I know there's like, but there are horror stories about like super famous people just being like absolute pieces of shit.
Of course. But on balance, I think, I would say there's more cool than...
Yeah, I hope so.
Because that's the cool thing about comedy. We're always meeting everybody. The access is pretty broad, let's say, no matter your level. You're around high, low, higher than you, lower than you all the time. And then I'm rarely getting like super attitude from people. I don't know, maybe you are. Maybe we have different experiences, but...
I mean, I don't know. It's I've seen a whole rainbow.
Yeah.
A whole rainbow of oh boy, I hope you fall into a ditch. Like just a whole rainbow of personalities I've experienced. But yeah, it's interesting. But also like people are nice, but then if you work for them, it can be different.
Yeah, once you add the boss relationship, that's tough. Yeah. Even like when I like ask friends, like I work with friends, even like with us, like for example, right? I'm really happy with our intra-work relationship, but sometimes you ask a friend to like do an edit for you, and like and then like you're not happy with it, not because they're bad, but you're just like, I have notes, and then giving notes to a friend, it can, if the dynamic isn't right, it can kind of ruin a relationship.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. People are insane.
Like I had one person contact me. I posted on Instagram, I need this. And one person's like, I can do this. I was like, cool. And they did it. And I was like, that's close. Can we just modify some things? And then they were like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, what are we doing here?
That's hilarious. No.
And you're like, no. And you're like, okay, so should we just not do it then? Like, I don't know what to...
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's so funny. No, that is also a risk, especially when you like hire somebody you're friends with and you like, and they just fuck up or they're just really bad and you're
or
like...
pressing them for... God. Or they're very good. I've had this, people who are very good, but they're just not deadline people.
Oh,
and you're like,
worst.
I have a show.
Yeah.
This thing needs to come out. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you balance the writing, the comedy, and the podcast now? In terms of like what you're putting time on and how it all aligns together for your ultimate goal?
I mean, nothing's balancing. I'm tired all the fucking time because it's like I'm writing for that. I also have an album coming out, and then it's like I'm gonna be co-starring in an indie film, so it's just like constant. It's constant work. Like even on the way here, I was running lines, so it's like, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm balanced. I would say I'm very off balance, and I'm very tired, and I'm very broke for how hard I'm fucking working. It's like so annoying.
But then it'll all steamroll in so fast.
I don't know. We'll see. Cause like it's also what I'm choosing to do, because like I could just try and focus on being staffed, and that's stable money and that's insurance. But it's like, if I really want to build myself up and like, put myself in front of camera and like push the acting, because like people know me as a writer, but it's like it's been all these years learning how to act.
Right.
It's a risk, and it's a lot harder. But so I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
But that's
I don't know. It's like I'm like trying to take steps towards like where I want to go, but I'm so tired, and like I spend so many days just sitting there. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, is this worth it? What are you doing? Because it's like people, this annoys me so much where everyone's like, oh my god, enjoy the journey. And I'm like, the journey fucking sucks ass. Like don't like if you're somebody sitting on in traffic to get to Six Flags, you're not like, oh my god, enjoy the journey. It's like, no, you stupid bitch, I want to be at Six Flags.
Yeah, let's get there.
I don't want to be in traffic. That's like what I'm feeling right now, where I'm like, okay, this shit better be worth it. But I also know that means I'm probably going to be a miserable asshole, because I've seen people who have everything, and if they're not happy on the way there, they're like, you know,
but they try to make
miserable.
up for it at the end.
Or and then they just can't appreciate what they have. So I hope that's not going to be the case with me. But it's just like right now I'm working too much for too little money, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm very tired, and I don't like it.
It's a lot on the journey on the way there I mean, it's an investment, because you're taking your time to be like, all right, this will pay off later.
Yeah. And I think also I'm having that trouble too, where I'm 15 years in. I'm 15 years into stand-up comedy. And like this was not the game I signed up for. Like when I started, there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, there was no
Right.
fucking influencers. This is not the shit I signed up for. So now, and it's like when I've invested so much to like do things the traditional way.
Yeah.
Like to learn screenwriting, to get educated, to take classes, to work on sketch shows, to learn sketch shows, to become theater trained, to do all these like traditional, and then like the entire time pressing stand up as hard as I fucking
When people
could.
are theater trained, just say the word theater. I'm like, oh yeah, I believe you. Theater trained.
But it's like I amassed all these skill sets, and then it's like, oh, but now you don't have a following because you weren't paying attention to that
Right.
shit. And it's like
You had to
now,
be an influencer this whole time. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's like now that's all people cared about. That's who
Yeah.
the networks are buying TV shows from, is people who have a following, not people who necessarily. And this isn't always the case, but that is happening more and more, as opposed to people who like built the skill set. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not saying people with followings who are unqualified. There are plenty of people who like
course.
went the traditional route and were smart enough to be doing the social media the entire time.
Yeah.
I just wasn't. So it's very like, it feels like I'm pivoting and I'm having to invest all over again. And I'm like tired
Yeah.
because it's like, well, what about the 15 years I already put the fuck in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you were saying the journey, like, why is not fun as much? Because it used to be like together. It used to be like working on a script together, like doing things together. Now your journey is a lot just sitting in front of your own computer, doing 18 different new skills. Like you're an editor, you're a Photoshopper, you're a podcaster.
It's nuts. It's truly nuts the amount of shit like you have to learn. Like I've had to learn how to edit, how to like videos and like social media and like learning all about that. I'm trying to learn how to design my website, which is a fucking mess.
Squarespace, free ad. It's good.
I gotta switch over because what I'm using now is bad. But it's like all this shit I had to learn how to do. Like I don't know how to do my hair. I had to learn how to do my own hair because it was getting so expensive every time I had to be on camera for something.
Yeah.
To like go and get my hair and makeup done. Like even for my album cover, like playing the photographer, I'm like, I can't pay for hair and makeup on top of that. So it's like now I have to learn how to be a fucking makeup artist. It's like insane. I'm like, how much shit do I have to know? I'm like, it literally would have been simpler to just go to medical school and be a doctor. Like this is nuts. Like what
it's less work to be a doctor.
Truly. Like, what am I doing?
That's the name of your album.
It's so wild. Yeah.
Yeah, because before there were gatekeepers, and I actually tweeted about this. I was like, I'll take the gatekeepers over having to be a one-person production company.
It is exhausting,
And that's kind of like a joke because like, we are empowered now to do it. But like it is also, there's a double-edged sword.
It is a double-edged sword because I'm fucking tired.
Yeah.
And it's like I never wanted, and I still don't want to make 30-second clips for like TikTok. That's not what I want. It's like I want to.
And it's not just, I hear that from every person at every level almost, unless there's someone who just loves it and that's their first love. But like even the biggest comedians are just like, oh man, this is just what I gotta do now. I gotta clip.
And it's and like you have all these like mid-level famous people where it's like as a stand-up comic, like if you didn't like make it, you were just a road dog, and that was like a fucking brutal life. But now I have so many friends with just like a podcast following, you know, and they can like tour and make money off of that, and that's like so much more comfortable than like what was available to them beforehand, if that makes sense. Right,
focusing on touring or just being like, you're the one person with a walk-on role on this sitcom, and that's how we market you to like a flyover stage or whatever, and it's like, and
it's like the audience is there for like, I remember stories of Patton, I think it was Patton Oswalt when he did King of Queens, and like people coming out to see him and being like, what the fuck? Because they were expecting King of Queens humor.
Yeah.
And like when you're able to build your own following, it's people who are there for you.
Right.
And I just like, sometimes when I'm doing these shows, I just feel that in my heart of hearts. I'm like, man, I wish it was an audience for me. Like sometimes.
You mean the comedy shows?
Yeah. Because like, when I'm headlining sometimes, and then like you'll just get a crowd that's like, make fun of my friend's stupid shirt, and you're like, oh, I'm so tired. And it's like,
and that's part of the TikTok thing.
Yeah. And it's like if you get 3 of those crowds in a row, you're like, I can't. It's just like, I'm making so little money. I drove X amount of hours to fucking be here, and I'm literally a fucking party clown. Like, this is nuts. Like, I can't do any material. You guys shut down. Like, oh, it's like cool. An entire crowd that hates any reference to sex. It's like perfect. That was why I
Where are you performing?
You'd be surprised what you run into, but it's like, and that's the thing is like you never fucking know what the crowd is gonna be like. So it would just be nice,
Yeah, it would be nice.
right?
Just and that's like when you have the podcast is the best because then they know you and they just want to be there with
Yeah,
you. They want to
yeah.
hang out with you. And
It's like, I mean, obviously as a comedian, you should be able to play any crowd.
yeah, of course.
But it's just, it just would be nice to be able to not have to like, sometimes I feel like even work in the negative or dance around people's like specific tastes. It's like, I should be able to do that. My material should generally be broadly appealing to
Right.
people, which I feel like it is, but it just gets exhausting sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think your journey is smart because being forward facing on the camera, there's always a power to that a person who's in the background
No,
doesn't
they don't.
have.
That was the thing that fucking blew my mind is how shit they treat writers. And like how much when I started acting, I felt like a fucking princess. Like I had
Yeah.
such a
Your talent.
I know, your talent. And then
Yeah.
if you're a writer, your staff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we're the one saying the shit that you like. And I'm like, we did that. We put that in their mouths.
Yeah,
It would
yeah.
drive me insane. I guess like I do have an ego problem where I'm like, no, we did this shit. Love us.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, nobody will follow you for writing on a thing. No one will like.
Sometimes there's like a huge showrunner and I look them up on Instagram. I'm like, I'm going to follow them. And then I'm like, oh, no one follows this
Yeah.
person. And you're
Yeah.
like, they're making so much great stuff.
Which would like, again, I don't think it would bother me if like touring and like opportunities weren't so tied in to that.
Yeah.
Because I think I don't love the idea of everyone knowing who I am or being super famous, but like I need people to come out and see me and I need to be able to make my own projects. So that comes with part of it. But
That's the cool
Yeah.
thing about comedy is like, unless you're on a sitcom that's huge or super famous for another reason,
Mm-hmm.
you can generally name the biggest comics to the average person and they
don't know.
almost don't know
Yeah.
everyone except for like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I get like such a big comic on my show. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. And then afterwards I'm like, oh, you guys came out for this person, obviously. And they're like, no, we don't know who that is. And you're like, oh, okay. It's
Yeah.
still a niche art form.
Yeah. Which is nice.
Yeah, it is fun. And then it's really like a trust from the people, just like we want to go see comedy. Like when they go out, like if people go
I
see
know.
comedy shows,
Which is why it's like, I know. It's just.
they basically just trust that it's going to work out unless they're going to see a headliner at a theater
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. But when they go to the club, it's like,
Yeah. They
Let's-
just trust. Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Because you would never do that for music. You would never
Yeah.
just trust that the music was good. You would go for the artist.
Yeah. Unless you're going to like a cafe or something where it's like, oh, this is a blues joint or whatever. And then you're like,
Oh yeah,
but I used to like, people used to do that more, I feel like back in the day where they'd have a relationship with their local club.
Mm-hmm.
But now again, it's so individualized where,
yeah. Well, a lot of clubs have to make a choice. They're like, are we a showcase club where they like people go to the store for the store period?
Yeah.
They go to the cellar for the cellar period. But if you're a smaller market club, you're going for
Yeah.
the headliner. So there's two different business models.
yeah.
One is we need the club.
Yeah.
Like we need those ones to work out. The other business model is they need us
Yeah.
to sell the tickets. And there's totally one is they have the audience, one is we have the audience.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we have to have the audience. If we want the power, we have to have
I
the
know.
audience. It's you. I mean, you basically came in here with the exact strategy and full understanding of what you need to do.
I know.
And it is depressing, but it's nonetheless what we're all
exhausting.
like. I'm going to start clipping and captioning something after this. Hopefully.
That's why I'm so jealous of fucking rich kids. I'm like, oh my God. I have friends that are like loaded that get into comedy and they can just pay some like schlub to be like listen to their shit and break it out and like do all their manage all their things. And I'm like, that's where the advantage of being a fucking rich kid is, where it's like you don't have to do any of this. They just show up, record. Like I have friends that'll have podcasts and I'll be like, yeah, I just show up and record and walk away. I don't know what you're talking about. Why is it so stressful? And I'm like, oh, your dad owns oil. That's why it's not stressful.
Just
Like,
owns oil.
I know. Owns oil, all of it. Even the ones in the dressings, mayonnaise.
Right.
oil.
Salad.
But it's just like, oh God.
That would be
brutal.
funny if you're like, no, I meant salad oil. They own salad oil. Yeah,
Newman.
but there's a
Paul
power
Newman's
in
good.
knowing how to do it too. Like some of my friends are some of the biggest captioner comics,
Mm-hmm.
and they asked him, I was like, who does your stuff? I mean, it's so good. And he's like, well, I do it. I'm like, oh, you're at the level you don't have to do it. He's like, yeah, but like the joke time, I'm like, it's so important to me that like I just need to do it. I need to make sure that like every line pops is, and I'm like,
I would
that's
never give a shit about that. I would immediately hand that off to some like college student. I don't give a fuck. I'm so tired. I'm so sick of listening to my own fucking loud voice and going, "What did I say?" And like typing. I'm like, I don't want to listen to myself.
Do you do it on the
phone? Sometimes I generally do it on the computer, but if I'm super busy, I do have an app on my phone where I can do it when I'm like, if I'm in New York, if I'm on the subway, and I have to edit it then. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes the app I have on my computer is shitty, so I'm like, whatever.
I don't know if you use Adobe Premiere, but their caption game changed everything. Because now it's one click and it types it all in. And you're like, and then you just go and adjust slightly.
Wait,
it's a complete game changer.
It captions it for you?
Yes.
Wait, how much does that cost?
It's $52 a month.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's like it's like if you use that as your editing software.
Right.
So like, you know, for me it pays off because I edit the pod, I edit the clips, and then you get Photoshop and everything with that. So it's like the whole Adobe thing you need for, you know, I make my show flyers on it. It more than pays for itself. But the fact that they added that feature alone is a game changer. That
almost makes me want to invest in that. That's crazy.
Yeah. If you ever wanted to do it, I could show you how to do it. It's pretty cool.
Because right now I just have to like listen and type it all out.
Oh, I did that twice and I'm like, I'm never doing this again. And then like the TikTok ones where it kind of fades, I just don't like the style of it. Like it's okay, but it seems just kind of, I don't know. I like it when it comes in and out. Yeah. Just stylistic. Yeah. And then what's the short film you're starring in?
It's co-starring. It's called Plan B. But I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about it or what yet.
Okay. But it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Is it about the skateboards or the pill?
Neither actually. But okay. It's fun. It's fun. It's a fun movie. I'm not sure just because like I don't even seen a Deadline article come out about it yet or anything, and we're still closing that contract. But
okay, excellent.
I'm excited.
And do you ever like go back to and see your acting school and get you? Because I'm sure like mine, they're always emailing, being like, "Come do a class," and you're like, "No."
My school, I don't know if I'm not on their email list. They're great, but they're also very like strict, if that makes sense, where it's like you can't just pop in and do a class. Yeah. Like you're here. Yeah. I mean, if you're like an alumni, like if you've graduated the whole program, you can like do one class a week or like sit in, but like you're doing the program. Like you can't just like, I think every now and then they have a workshop here and there, but they're intense. They're fucking intense.
Was it in New York?
No, it was here, Playhouse West. They're great. Okay.
Intense.
Yeah, they're like very strict, very Meisner-y, like okay. You know, like if you're late, they make you pay an extra fine, or if you're
like in dollars? Huh? In money?
Yeah, I think, but it's cheap. I think it's like $1. But if you're late past a certain point, I think they lock you out of the class unless you've like told somebody. Like, wow, they're intense. They're like, this is serious work. Yeah, this is acting. We take acting very seriously. This isn't some like learn how to be on a sitcom thing. But I needed that. I wanted to take the most serious acting class I could afford and like was reasonable without being in like a full acting school, like college program or whatever. Yeah. And yeah, I needed it because I was getting auditions for like funny Indian women parts, you know? And I'm like, okay, there's the same 6 of us and I've never gotten a call back. Like I must suck ass. Like for it to be like 6 bitches and I'm not getting a call back, I'm like, okay.
And they can't tell you apart anyway. Yeah. So.
I was like,
how am I at least not getting confused for the other one?
I know, right? Why you didn't even send the wrong email?
Yeah.
You didn't even mean to email Priyanka Chopra and accidentally hit me up? No, but I was like, okay, I need to like actually train if I'm this bad. So I went and did like, I wanted a serious program to learn how to like act, which is funny because it made me worse at first. Because like I didn't even know how to fake it once I started like getting out of those habits because it breaks you of those, and then I was just eating my ass in auditions like worse than before, and then now
it's like karate. Like, you learn, you have to unlearn what like you've learned. Yeah. You unlearn what you learn, and then you come back, and then you know it.
I was like, why are you having me wash your car? They're like, no, this is very important. This is Meisner.
Right. This is how I prep right before. I got a lot out of it. I just took like let's call it like 4 classes,
Yeah.
but they were good. It kind of just filled some holes with me in terms of,
Yeah, some people don't need that much, but
it helped me with stand-up. I mean, I'm not trying to be an actor, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going auditioning for stuff, but it definitely helped with stand-up. And I had a lot of stand-ups say that you should take this. So I was like, okay. And it just kind of helps you with stage and a couple
Yeah,
of things. And
for sure.
And also just like I did some writing, and so you learn how to like take apart a script and like break it down. And
Yeah, nothing was better for my writing. I was shocked at this than becoming an actor
right.
because
And that's what Tarantino says. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm a great writer because I was an actor.
oh shit, I
Yeah.
didn't realize you said that. Yeah, no, that makes total sense because you have to like fill in for yourself, like
Yeah.
the motivation, the history, like to understand how this person thinks the way they think, like building history for yourself, and then knowing what you need to like walk around as another human being helps you build characters, like when you're doing your writing. So it's just so
Yeah.
good.
And I love writing. Like I got to write, I wrote it on a clip show this year that's hopefully coming
Oh, that's
out.
great. Congrats.
And I wrote a few spec scripts.
Yeah.
Then I don't know what to do with them. I sent them around. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's,
Some people at the
sounds about
networks
right.
read them. I'm like, okay, they're like, this was good. I was like, all right. Like, let us know what else you got. So I'm like, okay, you kind of just keep writing.
Yeah, but it's fun.
It is fun. Yeah. And it is part of, I find like writing the dialogue is my favorite part. Like,
Yeah.
You know, punching stuff up and just kind
Yeah.
of like building it out. And yeah, it's a good time.
I like when it comes together, especially like a movie script, because
Yeah.
like I feel like every time I'm like 50 to 60% through, I'm like, what the fuck am I writing? This is trash. And then like by the time I get to the end, it's like all kind of like come together, and I'm like, oh god,
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
know?
Then you have this thing that exists and it's, you know, finished, and then it gets potentially made, which is
Yeah,
super
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like it is kind of still a dream factory, even though we're TikToking and Instagramming, like that's not the core of what we do at the end of the day. That's just the superficial, like we used to have PR agencies, right? That you'd pay a few $1,000 a month to put you in magazines.
Yeah.
This is just our new PR. Like,
Yeah, but that's the thing is like I just want to get to the level of successful where I can pay somebody a few $1,000s a month to do all this shit for me.
I need to farm
Yeah.
out so much stuff that I really just need to like figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
And I'm totally with you. Like everything you're saying, I'm like, I do way too much of it. I do it all. And
because like I wouldn't mind it if I was successful. I wouldn't be like, oh, TikTok, Instagram, that's great. 'Cause if I had somebody like working for me, but it's like when it's just you, you're like,
yeah.
oh my god, like what did I get into?
But then the pod, I've watched a couple of friends of mine start pods, and they would like budget it all and do it themselves. And then they get their first sponsor, and then they're paying a guy, and then it starts to really take off.
That would be amazing.
It turns into a small business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing we signed up for,
So funny.
being a small business.
I know. My parents as small business owners were like, don't do this shit. Get with a giant company. Because they're like, it's so stressful. But
Yeah, I watched my parents both be small business as well, and it's like, yeah, it's very.
I know. Just running their house, like, learn it from you, mom. Like a drug commercial.
It's empowering, but it's also like
Exhausting.
because it's 24/7,
I know.
and we are small businesses in a way, and that's what's cool was when you align with a good manager, a good agent, it kind of alleviates some of the small business pressure.
You would think so, but fuck.
All right, someone's looking for new reps.
No,
No,
it's a lot.
they can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
They are ancillary to you, but at least it's nice to have someone to talk to about it who's like has your interests aligned.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten into the show producing, like a comedy show producing side?
I've probably produced like 3 shows over my 15-year career.
Like 3 individual shows?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was so bad at it. Like the first time I tried, it went so poorly that I was like, I'm never going to do this again. And then like I technically produced another show because I had to, and I actually hired a producer, and that like barely got off the ground. And then I was semi-producing a show with the Glendale Room because I was supposed to run my hour, but then like all the shows that night ended up getting canceled. So it was like, it was a lot, but I'm not great at producing. I've never been great at producing, so I was like, why?
Why?
I'm going to waste everybody's time. I'm not good at this. So I could never produce. I could never bark. I was just bad. Like I tried, but Plus,
yeah.
I hated having to tell people no. That was like my biggest thing is like, I don't want, because I was friends with shitty comics because like I don't care.
Right.
Like,
You're not social climbing.
I'm not social climbing. It's like, if I think you're a cool person, I want to hang out with you.
Right.
But then it's like, if I'm watching you eat your ass every night and you're like, can I do your show? I'd be like, fuck. So I'm like, I didn't want to that
is
conversation.
the worst. That's so funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was always paranoid about that shit. So I never I ran a bunch of open mics when I first started, or like would like, you know, do those because I was like, at least I can let everybody on stage. But
right, you're not a filter.
Yeah. I never wanted to do that because people get fucking mad at you.
Yeah, someone said it's like starting a show is the best way to make a lot of friends quickly, but a lot of enemies over time.
Yeah, people get fucking mad.
Yeah.
I try not to get mad, you know, because I like think about it from their perspective, and it's like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, you're wise enough to have seen.
But it's hard. It's hard not to get frustrated. Like, the more shit you have, the more people want to eat off your plate, and they get mad when you're not letting them. And it's like, you just can't. Nobody owes you anything.
Right.
And you have to have that in your fucking head, or you're going to walk around like an asshole and nobody's going to be around.
Nobody owes you. And also it's like.
It is fucking annoying though when you're friends with somebody and I'm like, put me on your show, bitch.
That is annoying.
What the fuck? No, but it's,
But we have to, that's our own internal monologue that we need to adjust.
Yeah.
But Neil Brennan had a great line. He's like, I didn't come to this city to do your shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people like put their needs ahead of yours and just want what you have.
Yeah.
Like they just want what they can get from you, and that's it. And like, and you're like, at a certain point you have to be like, I respect you, but like, I'm also here trying to do my thing.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to do doesn't align with what I'm doing. And that's okay.
Yeah. And
But
it's like, I'll try and help people as much as I can, but there's like a fucking limit.
But we are the artist. See, we're the person asking and the artist. And that is such a dangerous psychological problem.
I know. There was one friend I had who used to run a show, and she would never book me on the show, but she had free food for the comics. And I was so broke at the time, I would just show up and eat this bitch's food every fucking week. Because I would always be friends with everybody on the lineup.
Yeah.
So I would just show up and like eat her nachos, which was fucked up, which is probably why she didn't book me. She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're costing me $80 a month.
That was such a broke comic thing to do. I'm like, oh, this show has free food? Okay.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Such an absolute gutter rat I was when I was in New York. Just so bad.
That's like a scene in Crashing. I don't know if you watched the show.
No.
But they go, when Pete Holmes starts to become a comic in New York.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to go eat. And they're like, all right. And he follows them and they go to like, he's like, this place is a good sample. They take a sample from like this grocery store and a sample from, and they're just going around getting free food.
That's funny. No, I ate a lot of dollar pizza and
dollar pizza. Where did you live in New York?
I first lived in Astoria for like a month or some
That's
change.
the new hotspot.
It was fine. My living situation was a fucking nightmare. And then I moved into Jackson Heights with 5 Craigslist roommates, and it was a mess. My rent was $400. I don't remember, something like insanely cheap, but I got what I fucking paid for. It was a disaster. When I first moved in, the place was infested with roaches, and I asked her, I'm like, there are no bugs, no pest problems. And she was like, no. Second day I'm there, I see her like little roach, and then it was just like in fucking fested. And I put out the little black traps, and I got it cleaned up, and I was like, the fuck were you people just living in this shit? Are you kidding
People are
me?
gross.
It was so gross. And they're like, oh, we tried. And their definition of trying was putting out one of those little sticky sheets. I'm like,
oh yeah.
That was what you tried with? A fucking Bugs Bunny trap? Like you put out a little glue thing and you thought they were just all gonna run through the glue and then you were done? I'm like, you stupid bitch. Like, what the fuck? How were you living? It was so gross. Like, I literally at one point reached for a door handle and there were roaches on the fucking handle. And I was like, oh, it was so
on the
gross.
handle?
On the handle. On the fucking handle.
How did they get on the handle?
I don't know. Why? Why were they there? But it was just so disgusting. I'm like, how are you living like this?
Yeah.
It was just so nasty.
How many years did you spend there?
Oh, a lot. Many years. I got the roaches cleaned up, but it was always a fucking mess.
No, I mean in New York, not that one place.
New York. I mean, I still technically live there. I go back and forth all the time.
Nice.
I've been there since I was like 20, so on and off for like 12 years.
Okay, so you're still a New Yorker. That's why I get the style. You're dressed like you still live there, which I like.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot. It was definitely a lot.
I love comedy in New York, though. It's just so
That's why I
fun.
go back. I would
Yeah.
never live there for any other fucking reason unless I was super rich, because it's stressful and dirty.
It is
And you don't get a lot of space.
It is interesting that like New York is like, from what I hear, more women than men.
Oh, is it?
That's what I hear, like in the,
Maybe.
and so it's hard to date there.
I mean, yeah, I was having trouble dating, but I just assumed that was mostly my lifestyle. You know what I mean? Because it's really hard to date when you're a comedian.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, especially if you're like working all day and then you go out and do shows at night. Like very few people are going to be like, oh, cool, yeah, I'll sign up to be monogamous with somebody who's never there. Why not? It's just,
It's
yeah,
also
hard.
challenging just in the sense that it's a nighttime activity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's where your nighttime energy goes.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of lunches.
Yeah, it was hard. It was very hard to find, because it's like I would find men who were like totally fine with being with me, but none of them were serious about me because I wasn't there.
Right. I used to live on 10th and B,
Oh, nice.
and it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New York is fun if you have, I mean, it's a lot of fun if you have good money. And like a nice apartment.
I did my 20s broke years there,
Did
and
you?
I thought that's probably the best time to do it.
Oof, I hated it. I did my 20 broke years there too,
Because you
but I
don't,
did not.
you can do, I think you can do young New York, or you can do I've made it New York. The middle is hard.
Yes.
Where you want stuff, but you haven't made it, and it's so expensive. But like
Yeah.
when you're young, nothing matters.
Yeah.
And then if you're old and you come back and you made it, that's fun.
Yes.
That seems fun.
Yeah.
That's I have unfinished business with New York that I feel like at some point I have to like go back and
I
be
mean,
like,
I keep going back because the comedy scene is like second to none.
yeah.
But it's like if I was more famous, I feel like LA would be fine. I'd be able to get more spots and like whatever. And I like LA because I like space.
I like LA, yeah.
I like
fell
being
in
spread
love
out.
with LA. Like I do
mean,
love it.
The air is disgusting. Like,
Oh, the air is gross. Yeah.
it's so
The air is
fucking
gross, the traffic is bad, but it's like it's mysterious, it's fun, it's like
I just like that it's quiet and spread out, and I can
Yeah.
have my own space. And my fiance has a fucking house, so I'm like, okay, I like this. There's
Yeah.
a yard, and there's quiet, and it's just me and him and my dog, and like it's two friends that also live with us. But
yeah.
it's like,
But we don't count them.
yeah, but it's like nice, as opposed
I like
to
how you did
New
the
York,
order of
it's like-
operations. There's me, my husband, our dog, two friends.
But it's not. It's nice to have that space.
Yeah.
New York, you can't have that unless you're like fucking Jeff Bezos or some shit.
No, even like I have friends there with kids who are very doing well, but still like you're in an apartment
Yeah.
in a high rise and it's small.
Yeah.
And that's just you live your life outside your apartment and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. But the comedy scene is so good there.
Yeah, it's like you go and I do more spots there in 2 weeks than like I do in 6 months here. And you're like, all right, that was fun.
I know, that's why I keep going back, even though I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Maybe I'll see you there this summer.
Yeah.
Are you going back in July?
No, July I'm actually going to be here. I'm going to be there in New York and in New Jersey for all of June.
Nice. Is that where the fam is?
Is that where what?
Your family?
No, that's where they're filming the movie in
Oh,
South
nice.
Jersey. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. Well, if you ever
be
want to
fun.
come and do a spot on the Monday night Kibitz Room show, you're
Oh,
welcome
shit.
anytime. It's super interesting and it is fun. It can be fun, but the crowd is, I'm sure you've done it over the years.
Yeah,
But,
I think Esther Steinberg used to run a
it's
show
the
there, yeah?
second generation of that
Aw,
show. So
that's awesome.
And she just did it recently. And but it's fun and it's a great room to try new stuff. So you're always welcome.
Aw,
Just
thank
text me
you.
anytime.
Hell yeah.
And plug yourself. This has been super fun. Tell us
this
where to
was very
find you,
fun.
follow you. We already talked about your pod, which is I'm going to be on soon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, whenever.
We gotta get our schedules lined up, but
Yeah.
yes. So you can follow me on social media. If you just search at Subhah, I'll normally come up. S-U-B as in boy, H-A-H, like Subhah.
Subhah.
Yes. I think you should burn and delete all your social media accounts, but if you don't follow me on everything, please, dear God.
Were you Subhah at one point?
I was. That's my Instagram handle.
Okay.
Because like, do you know Casey Aurora?
No.
Okay, he's this comic. He's very funny, but he was just like, you should make your Instagram handle Subhah. And it was so terrible. I had to make it my Instagram handle. And like, just the joy I get out of watching people go, your handle's Subhah. Like, it's just so cringy and the absolute worst that I have not changed it. It's so funny to me.
But it's good marketing.
It's terrible.
No one's spelling our last names right.
I know.
Let's just accept it.
But if they search for Subhah, it'll also come up. But yeah, technically my Instagram handle is Subhah.
I put out a thing on Instagram, a poll to say like, should I change my Instagram handle to Latif? Just to simplify it.
But yeah.
But if anyone, here's my random advice for marketing: do not put the in front of your thing, like the Subhah, because people type in, they'll start typing your name, and the algorithm sometimes the will totally screw it up.
Oh wow!
Or it's always start with your name and put the at the end. So that was a tip I got from a big social media manager. You're welcome. Follow Subhah and Subhah. Subhah, thank you so much for doing it. Show business, and it was super fun.
Hell yeah.
Bye.